Hi there, welcome to SUI Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. If you're new to my sessions, here are the 3 key takeaways you can expect. So let's start with the weekly chart. So SUI, previously we asked was that an LPSY, which was confirmed 2 weeks ago. And also we said, would SUI come down for a sign of weakness? And indeed, it actually passes that level that we had back in mid-June. Okay, just to let you know, because we are talking about 2 potential scenarios over here. One is the one involving the blue tags, where there was also a lower sign of weakness right here during late March. So where we are now, it basically the wick this week touched on the same, very similar level as what we had back in early April and March. And this has been confirmed, not a question mark anymore. So the bigger question is we actually heading towards an accumulation? Alright, so while we have this second test with a 15% chance still lingering around, which can still happen. That was what happened right here. But that, to me, it looks like a very quick 6 weeks accumulation. And then it pumped back up again. So that's why we have the second scenario. Would that be an actual very short accumulation? That's the yellow tags. We had the selling climax back in mid-March, and then automatic rally and a spring in mid-April. Then we have the PSY period all the way to the buying climax in mid-May. Before the price came down, you can call that the automatic reaction, and then an upthrust. Subsequently, we've got more LPSYs, and then this. If it is really is the yellow scenario, this may also be a sign of strength, sign of weakness right there, and also this may well be a selling climax. So it's kind of interesting to look at this. So if the yellow scenario holds true, the current price has entered to a point that resembles what happened here in the first quarter. Okay, however, if it's the blue, the chance of it coming down further into a deeper accumulation is the possibility. Okay, so after this sign of weakness, assuming that's the same as that one, there may be a chance that it bounces, so a potential LPSY, and eventually that's where it gets to the preliminary support level. So that will be the official beginning of the accumulation cycle. Look at what happened over here back in June 2024. Alright, if the price continues to decline to the level below the red key level of 1.5, getting closer to the key level of 1.0, that's a deeper level of accumulation compared to what happened back in the beginning of this year, where it accumulated just below the yellow key level of 2.35, which we already have entered that area. So either case, whether it's the yellow or the blue scenario, the chance of it entering a new accumulation is very likely, or it might have already entered an accumulation. So that's the big picture. Let's get to the daily chart and see what's happening. So all these have already happened. I just want to make the box transparent so the text are clearer. Okay, so it's not creating a shade. So a downtrend started in the beginning of October, and now after a month, the trading activities are still within this downtrend. So this breakout point, supposed to happen by middle of this month in a few days time, but the price has already fallen below the yellow key level. This bounce from this center line, this dashed blue line over here, is a normal behavior, because what happens for the price actions is it tends to move along three lines within this channel, or the air hockey table. The price bounces off from the ceiling and bottom, and also sometimes it bounces off from the center line. So here, if this trend continues, the next breakout time point would be way back to so far into December. So there's still a month from now. If the price continues with its downtrend, you're not being able to break above the ceiling. Alright, this line over here. And in terms of Wyckoff, we were discussing in the last session whether those are like selling climax back in October 17th, and then automatic rally, sign of strength, and then we already said there's very high chance for it to come down for a second test, which has happened, not one time, but once here and another here. Let's just call that test. And would this be a spring and then it goes up further, or is it going to come further down for a real spring? Okay, that's scenario one. Again, daily chart is very tricky if we want to do Wyckoff. What's the second scenario then? Let's copy this tag, change this to yellow. Second scenario means this entire period of horizontal trading was the preliminary support. What we are seeing right now, or in the past few days, was the actual selling climax. So that's the difference between the red scenario versus the yellow scenario. Okay, if it goes up like what it's doing right now, for the yellow scenario, this is the automatic rally, and it has many chances for coming down to show us more tests, and also even a spring somewhere way down, like we talked about just now, near the red key level, or maybe even deeper. Alright, that's not very far in history right at this point. It's just 1 year from now. Okay, sometime starting mid-June, get to the lowest point in early August and then bounce back up. That was what happened about 14-15 months ago. So it is still possible for this to get to that very low point. Okay, it's not like a straight line, but still, okay, if confidence is really weak, or if people's capital are moving to somewhere else, then that's where SUI can eventually head to. Okay, the big picture, it seems like it's still trying to find more solid support from a bigger picture perspective. If it really accumulates around this level of 2.35, that's something similar to what happened just half a year ago. However, if it is really the blue scenario where we have seen all the highest peaks, then the tendency for it to come down into a new accumulation level at a lower level, new accumulation at a lower level, like below the orange of 1.5, that's more likely for the blue scenario. Okay, so it depends on which one plays out, and in the next few weeks we'll be able to tell, by the price actions like what we have seen in the past. Okay, thanks for joining me. See you in the future sessions.